All right, we're taking a look at formatting our manuscript for Kindle Direct Publishing, and there's a lot to do. You notice I don't have a 9 by 12 piece of paper here. I have 8.5 times 5.5. You can download a template, which is what I did the first time, or you can mess around here in layout, margins, custom. Machine is slow. Oops, custom margins, dot, dot, dot. Microsoft has so many options we can play with. And I've got 0.76 all around. That was from the template, except outside it's 0.6 and gutter is 0.14. Of course, I have portrait. So it looks like a book, right size pages. My pages size are 5.35 times 8.35 for a 5 times 8 borderless book because we need to account for the margins. Again, you can get a template that has all this. Alrighty. Notice I've got 2 blank pages at the beginning. That's not exactly true. This is front and back of a piece of paper. If you pick up any book in the house and look at it, you know, each page has, each actual piece of paper you can touch has a front and a back. So we're going to have to keep that into account too. So I've got one piece of blank paper, and if you want blank pages at the front, you have to make them yourself, which is kind of the point. Then on the first odd page, and if you look at any book in the house, you'll notice that when you open it, you're probably looking to the right. That's just where we naturally look. I like to start chapters on the right-hand page, which is the odd pages. I also like to do important things like the title page on the odd page. So that's what you're seeing here. I've got a half title page, which is my title, no subtitle, no author name. I might put a little picture if I wanted. I've got books by this author, and there's a lot of them. But that I don't need to, fill up everyone's full attention, so it's the back of the first page. Then I've got my full title page, title, subtitle, author. And here's a good place to use the fun fonts. You can do a search and download so many free fonts. This is Avengers font. I could get Doctor Who font and Star Wars font and whatever I want. Just download free fonts and they'll be there in Word. Nice and big too. Okay. I left the back blank. I could make it my copyright page or something like that if I wanted. But I've got the copyright page a little later. I've got my table of contents. And I'll talk about how to make that in a minute. I used an automatic table of contents, which looks very nice with my titles and my page numbers. Here I've got the copyright page. I put that on the back of something because it isn't that important. This book is an unauthorized guide. Nobody has supported making it for nonfiction that's about pop culture. If you did fiction, you can Google the standard disclaimer of this is a work of fiction. None of these characters are meant to resemble anybody real. Sure. Copyright, my date, the year, my name, all rights reserved. The ISBN, which you probably don't have at this point because Amazon is going to give you one, but you should put it here when you get one. That's all. That's my copyright page. Nothing else. It's fine. Alrighty, introduction. I decided to put a little icon picture at the front of each chapter. So what you do is you take your chapter titles, like introduction, and over here on styles, you mark them all as heading 1, or heading 1 and heading 2, or whatever you want to do, but let's say heading 1. And then you take, I'd recommend the same font for each one, But you noticed I used a fun font, and you could use a fun font too. Whatever fun font pleases you, including downloading others off the web. Let's say I want to do that one, because I think it stands out. Then what I do is I say heading 1, update heading 1 to match my selection. And now whenever I tell anything to be heading 1, it will use my style. I also told it to be centered. I also told it what size to be. Yeah. So what you want to do is for every chapter title, you want to make it heading 1 and decide what pretty font or whatever you want heading 1 to look like, add a pretty picture, anything like that. Why? So the computer knows what you're doing. Because back to my table of contents, what I did here is I said, okay, make a table of contents, computer. I'll delete this and show you, and now it'll have my new chapter title up there. Okay, that is references, table of contents. Yeah, just make me an automatic table of contents. They've got some different options, but there probably aren't a lot that are going to be important aside from do you include page numbers or not. So you see, this one is including some of my pictures because they were labeled as heading 1, which they shouldn't be. I should get rid of that. And it kept my title page, Encountering Jewish Science Fiction for Kids and Teens, which I hit enter between. It's treating as multiple ones. So sure, I should get rid of all that. But also, it's here going, here's introduction, here's chapter 1, here's chapter 2, with all the page numbers set to go. So an automatic table of contents is wonderful. If somewhere I add another page or I mess with things, I just right click on this and say update field. And if I don't want it to put back all the things I deleted, I just say update page numbers, and it will deal with the fact that I changed all the page numbers. So I tend to do that last. Hey, table of contents, be sure about those page numbers. Be really sure about those page numbers. Do I have them all right? And speaking of all right, I do want them to start on the right side of the page, so I will add a blank page wherever I need to. And at the end, I can make sure that they're all odd. At the moment, they're not, and fix that up. So that is references, table of contents. It's great. Likewise, if I want explanatory endnotes or footnotes, I can insert those here, and they will work on an ebook. They will work on a paper book. Yeah, it's great. Pictures. Yeah, this is a picture that I put at the front of all the chapters, but also this is a picture. They need to be royalty-free and 300 DPI. This actually is. It is Wax Museum Yoda that I got off Shutterstock and paid the licensing fee for. Or I could draw him myself. There are some different options. Lots of people are using the AI's Paint Me a Picture software. You could play with that. But you need art that you own the copyright to, or no one owns the copyright to, and 300 DPI. So you can say insert photo, or you can just paste it in, copy paste. And then I would recommend, it's on the picture toolbar, which when you click on a picture is an option. You can crop it to where you need to, sure. But what you want to do is position wrap text tight, which means to put it here in the middle of all the text. In line with text would be like that. And I think we want to wrap text tight so the text flows around it. Or if it's a big picture, maybe you do want it in line. I've got some of each, actually. Subtitles, you notice I didn't use big fancy fonts and stuff. I just hit enter and capitalized. We've got page numbers, right? We've got headers and footers. You have to make it all yourself. I have page numbers at the bottom. I have my title on one side. I have my author name on the other. I could do a different one for each chapter, but I didn't want to. How do I do all this? Insert header or footer or page number. Could start with page number, put it at the bottom of the page, center, or something like that, and off it goes. Sure. So you just get in there and edit the header or insert page number. That brings you to this menu where you can type anything you want here and here and here and here. But traditionally, I don't have those on my title page. That'd be weird, or my table of contents or whatever. How do I do that? Well, if you look carefully, you notice that this part says heading 1, section 1. And the part that has all these titles is called section 2. So that's the key. And you could do a different section for each chapter if you wanted each chapter to have a chapter title on it. I don't know that I'd recommend that. That's pretty much just done for short stories. Up here, different odd and even pages is how I got different things on each side. You can say insert layout. Looking for breaks. Yeah, layout breaks, new break is how you make a section 2 in the first place, although I wouldn't be in header and footer. And another key is up here on header and footer, which is a menu that shows up when you're dealing with header and footer. If you say link to previous, then it will say, oh, you want section 1 and section 2 to have the same header. If you do not say link to previous, it will understand you want section 1 and section 2 to have different headers, which is what I did. No link to previous. So section 1 and 2 have blank headers, and they've got the Roman numeral page number. Sure. You can also, of course, play with the font on those, that kind of thing. Something forgettable, overlookable is good. So that's another part of formatting. If you want page numbers, you've got to put them in. You notice lots of these chapters are starting on the even side, which actually is not what I want. So I would probably just Control Enter, stick a new page in. So now I've got a blank page on the back of this, and now this chapter starts on the odd side. Sure, that's all. Indentations, if I did a whole ½ inch, then it looks like a school paper. A book, it would be smaller. So I do a ½ inch, and I make the font anything I want. I make it justified, spread over this thing, equal on both sides. Justify left looks weird. Align left, I should say, looks weird. A whole ½ inch margin looks weird, so I make it smaller. Another thing I do is, sometimes I have to look for where this stuff was, hyphenation, automatic, which makes it hyphenate long words automatically, this isn't that long, instead of trying to make them fit, which looks more awkward. So I do all that, and then I say, okay, update normal font to match selection. Anywhere we use normal font, make it look like this. Garamond 12, I think that looks nice. You could pick a different font. Go for readable. Readable is good, but whichever font you like. Garamond 12, justified, ½ inch margin, and then it will make anywhere I've got normal look like that. You should do that early and definitely look it over after for paragraphs that never got marked normal, so they're still in the old font for awkward bits. Yeah. As I said, you can absolutely use Microsoft Word's insert, footnote, or endnote, which show up looking nice and tidy at the bottom of your page or the bottom of your document. Although, again, there's that question of what font is it in and what font do you want it to be in? The answer, of course, would be all the same. And maybe these do look better indented to the left. Okay. And if you make an ebook, they'll still work, and the table of contents will still work. So that's lovely. Oh, I see somehow I got my page numbers aligned right. Probably when I aligned left. Probably when I aligned this left. No. So you want to double check for errors like that creeping in as you fix everything the way you want it. Sure. Pictures, etc. These pictures are going to be printed in black and white. I could look at everything in black and white to make sure it looks good if I wanted. but I can put in as many pictures as I want. Full-size pictures. I can put in tables. Again, there's a question of do those look okay? And again, I could play with the indentation in the boxes and getting rid of extra spaces in the boxes, but I can include tables. Or I could make the table a JPEG if that looks better. Bullet points. I do nonfiction with bullet points. And you notice I wanted to do little planets because I'm being cutesy. What do? I say format these, define new bullet, and then I just get any picture and insert a picture there. And some of them don't look good. I mean, it absolutely happens that I'll say insert a picture from a file. And, I went online and I did a search and got some pictures that I thought would look good. Oh, that's the same picture, isn't it? But sometimes they don't look that good. Like, okay, it's a little rocket, but it's on a gray background with an underline under it. Not gonna work. So I ended up doing the planet, but you can absolutely use a little picture there. We looked at the front matter, like table of contents and stuff. And at the end, you might have a conclusion. You might have works cited. Works cited might have a different way of formatting. You can drag things around using the ruler if you need to, and then you could make a new style like works cited. Works cited should be more like that. I could get rid of the extra spaces after it. Ah, yes. The whole thing should really be single spaced, although you've got some other options. You should really remove spaces before and after, although you've got options. Normal text is tight. And at the very end, you're going to want an About the Author page with a nice photo of you, let's say, and a nice paragraph about you. We'll work on the cover separately, front and back cover. You will need to write a paragraph about what the book is about for your back cover, and you might use your author bio again on the back cover. I wouldn't use colored font. I would keep one font through the whole book. But as you can see, you've got so many nice options.